Okay, today I want to look at simplifying fractions. Now basically simplifying means trying to get the numbers that are in the fraction down to as small as they can possibly go. So rather than having numbers that are giant like this, so 70 over 110, we want to try and condense them so that the numbers are smaller. Alright, so we've got to keep in mind our two rules when we're working with fractions. The first one being whatever you do to the top, you've got to do to the bottom. Okay? The second one is that you can only multiply or divide. You can't add or subtract. Okay, multiply or divide only. Alright, so when it comes to simplifying, we want to try and find a number that will fit inside the top and the bottom. So a factor, okay? So hopefully we know our times tables. If you don't, it's okay, there are other ways to get around it. It takes longer though, so try and learn your times tables. Anyway, so we want to try and find a number that fits into the top and the bottom. So for example, we've got 5 over 10. I know that the number 5 fits into 5 and it fits into 10. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 5 to simplify this fraction. So I'm going to divide by 5 and I'm going to divide by 5. So 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. So when I simplify this fraction, 5 over 10 is actually a half. Alright, now let's move down here to 12 over 18. So I want to try and think of a number that fits into 12 and 18. So 6. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 6. So 12 divided by 6 gives me 2. 18 divided by 6 gives me 3. Cool. So 12 over 18 when simplified gives me 2 over 3. Now let's move on to this one over here. So 21 over 30, let's go 3 will fit into both of these. So as long as I know my 3 times tables, I'm set. So 3 times what gives me 21? 3 7s. And 30 divided by 3 gives me 10. So this fraction here, when simplified, gives me 7 over 10. Alright, now here, a really quick way to do this. Any time that both numbers have a 0 on the end, you know that you can divide by 10. So I'm going to divide by 10. Divide by 10 to the top and the bottom. 70 divided by 10, I get 7. 110 divided by 10, I get 11. So 7 over 11. And now an important thing to know when it comes to fractions is that some numbers, once you hit a certain number, you can't go any further. So if you know your prime numbers, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, once you get down to those, you can't go any further. Now here we've got 48 over 96. Now, if I don't know my times tables to be able to do this, it's totally cool, because any time you have even numbers, you can just halve them. And you keep on halving them, and you keep on halving them, and you keep on halving them until you can't anymore. Alright, so I'm going to divide by 2, or halve these numbers. So divide by 2, divide by 2. Half of 48 would give me 24. Half of 96 would give me 48. Alright, cool. But I've got to keep going, because that's not as small as they can possibly go. Because they're both even numbers, I know I can divide by 2 again. Alright, because they're both even numbers, I know I've got to divide again. So divide by 2, divide by 2. 24 divided by 2, I get 12. 48 divided by 2, I get 24. They're even again, I've got to keep on going. Alright, so divided by 2, I get 6 over 12. And they're even again. So I know the answer, but I'm just going to keep going, dividing by 2 until I get to the very end. Okay, so divide by 2, divide by 2, 3 over 6. Ooh, okay, 3 over 6. I have an odd number, 3 is odd, but 3 and 6 share a factor. There is a number that will fit into 3 and 6, so I've got to keep going. Okay, because 3 fits inside 6, I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 3. So divide by 3, divide by 3. 1 over 2. So that's a half. Okay, so the giant process to get the answer, but it is possible if you don't know your times tables. If you get even numbers on the top and the bottom, just divide by 2. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But eventually you may come to a point where you'll get an odd number, but you can still simplify further. So it does help to know your times tables, especially your 3s, your 5s, and even your 7s. Okay, and now let's do the same method. Hopefully it won't take quite as long. Don't know my times tables, so we're going to do this one. So they're both even numbers. So I'm going to divide by 2. So I'll get 10 over 13. Oh, okay. Now, 13 is a prime number, so I actually can't go any further. But also, it's odd, so you can't divide by 2. But yeah, it's a prime number, so I can't go any further. Cool. So now, when it comes to simplifying fractions, the moral of the story is you just want to keep on going, dividing by numbers over and over and over until you get down to as small as you possibly can. Now, take this one for example. If I didn't know my 6 times tables, but I knew my 3s, that's perfectly fine. I could have divided this by 3, it just would have taken an extra step. Alright, so that's how we simplify fractions. You keep on going until you've got them down as small as you possibly can. If you've got an even number on the top and the bottom, you know you can keep going. Divide by 2.